Back to reality. My wife just told me about talking to an ex-boyfriend. About 3 months before this, she tells me she needs to separate from me. She doesn't feel anything for me anymore. She's brought up things in the past that I have hurt her with, like not wanting to marry her again, not supporting her, getting married too young, blaming me for her not having a career, not being there when she needed me most. First, we've been married 27 years. I feel, and for most of that time, I know she felt, that our love grew every single day. It was so awesome, almost too much love. When she asked about getting remarried for our 25th anniversary, I said something really stupid. Truth is, I would have done it in a heartbeat. But there was no forgiveness for me. I really blew it. Second, when we first got married, she was 18 and pregnant. I was 22. She basically raised a family instead of having a career she wanted. I didn't support her seeking a career. I felt she should just stay home and raise the kids. We have 3 great kids, 22, 25, and 26. Our middle girl is married. I have supported her having a career way too late in our marriage. I blew it again. Third, most of the time with raising the kids when they were small, or my wife and kids being sick at times, she did some or most of that alone. I mean, I usually didn't take off of work to be with them. But when I got home after a long day at work, I would take over if need be. I usually wake up at 3:30 a.m. and get home about 5 to 6 p.m. We were both spent by day's end. I was always there except the times that mattered the most to her. I've always loved her with every ounce of my heart. I have never been unfaithful. I have worked steady at the same company for 33 years and provided a good home for our family. Now life has changed horribly. She says she dated this guy before we were married and always had a connection with him. They must have been around 15. They are now 45. He now lives in another state and is married too. She says all they have done is talk and that she still loves him. I'm mad, hurt, and my heart is crushed. I've changed so much lately to let her know how much I love her, but she is almost blank. She doesn't want to go to counseling. She doesn't want to tell the kids or our parents. She knows this will destroy all of us. I feel everyone should know. I can't face my kids or family without them knowing why she wants to leave. I'll try to give her time to decide what she wants to do as she has pleaded me to. I know this is an emotional affair and the trust I had for her is broken. I think all in all I've been a good loving husband. It kills her to know that her entire family have always said she basically is so lucky to have me, and that there will not be anyone on her side if she continues this affair. I know this is very common. I just joined the forum today. I need to let my feelings out and I desperately need help. I feel so alone and betrayed. I finally had it the other day with my wife continuing contact with she's been having an emotional affair with. Flat out told her to screw off and I didn't love her anymore. She cried and pleaded with me to give her another chance. I did. This is about the 4th time since she told me she didn't love me anymore after 27 years of marriage. I thought this would be different this time. But, by the next day, she started to act cold to me again. Just like the other times before. I can't take it anymore. The problem is, I still do love her and want to make it work. We had a great marriage with 3 awesome kids, all adults now. Can't say for sure if she's still talking with other men. If she has stopped, I know she probably feels trapped here and more unhappy. I don't want to rush into anything. She's been to counsel 3 times through our marriage, and never said I was or could be the problem or wanted us to go to marriage counseling together. I'm going to seek professional help for all this. I'm already much stronger than I was when this started. One scary thing is I know if she believed I didn't love her anymore and sought to separate or divorce, she might lose it mentally. She's very unstable at this point. A month later, I finally asked my wife today if she really wants a divorce. She says she doesn't know. She moved out about 2 weeks ago, but she will come home for a couple of days a week for gym and to get clothes. She's staying at her mom's. I also asked if she missed me. She said sometimes. Then I asked if she missed me holding her. She said no. This hurt more than anything I can think of. We have been married 27 years. I know most of them were very good. No one could love each other more than we did. I'm so broken. I don't know what to do. She says she wants to know what it's like to be on her own. She just got a job and is going to night school. All the things she didn't do while we were raising 3 kids. I've been understanding. I'm not perfect and have done a lot of hurtful things in the past. I don't know what to say to her anymore. Everything I say and do is wrong. We barely talk. She feels our kids are on my side, which they are because she has really changed. Like she's going through menopause, but she is not according to her doctor. I just need some encouraging words to help me through all this. I've been spending a lot more time with my girls 22 and 25 years old. They have kept me going. They have really stepped up to the plate. But this really pisses off my wife. She also told me she wishes I had left so she could be with the kids. I know for certain this would not change a thing. They see her as different now and are comforting only me. My oldest daughter even told me today that she's done with her mother. This is not right. But of course, I understand her. She can't understand what her mom is thinking by doing this to me and by being so different to them as well. My daughter says she had a great childhood and knows that I have almost given her mother everything she wants. I told her that material things are okay, but she needed more than that from our marriage. I missed so many signs over the years. I could have been so different. I've always loved her more than anything. as I still do. Am I wrong to think there is still hope when she says she doesn't know if she wants a divorce? She says she still loves me and I believe her. But is she just saying that only because of all the years we've been together? This Monday she moved back. She says, I can't make any promises. When I got home that night she was loving and said she missed me. This was a great night. The next day was just okay. But last night she was still distant to me like before. Had to ask how she felt. Says she still feels the same as before and reminded me she didn't promise anything. My hopes were smashed again. At least now she's here so I can do whatever I can to show her how much I love her and want to make her happy once again. I need advice more than ever now. I was boring before and don't want to be anymore. But I really feel she just doesn't want to spend time with me. What a dilemma. A few months later, keep it a secret till this Friday when she told me she is still talking to him. Really pissed me off. I didn't say much except if she had ever stopped like she said she was. She said for a little while. So, I told her I was going to tell everyone because I couldn't keep it to myself anymore. That evening I told my son and daughter, 25 and 22. Next day I told my other daughter and her parents and my mother. She was mad when I got home but still talked and was calm. Next morning was when she was on fire. I asked what was wrong and she told me to shut up. This evening I confronted her again and then it was on. She didn't want to talk. So, I told her I was the one that should be mad. She was pissed because I told everyone. She said the other day she didn't care who I told. Anyways, she said she hated me and took off. Now she wants me to buy her out of her share of the house. That's okay, but there isn't much equity left. And if there is no equity, she will force the sale of the house. We did talk a little more at least. Told her I still love her, which I do, but I've let her go. I've changed a lot through all this. I know my faults and asked forgiveness. She will not forgive. I've never cheated or abused her. Just wasn't there emotionally for her mostly. We did have a great marriage. Not all 27 years, but I would say most of them. I know she knows this too. She told me she started falling out of love when I didn't marry her again for our 25th anniversary. Real big mistake. I said something mean but as a joke and she didn't bring it up again. I really would have because I really love her. I did buy her a new wedding ring though, and she picked it out and loved it. I thought this would make up for my big mistake but it did not. She will not forgive and gave it back after this all started in the summer. So, I do understand why she needed someone to confide in and it turned out to be an old boyfriend she had before we were married. Says she's always loved him and cared about him and thought they would always be together. I've been doing the advice on here and reading the love dare. I actually feel a bit better knowing the truth. As for a physical affair I can't say for sure. She said no. Can't believe anything she says anymore. The only thing good is that he lives in another state. I'm in Cali. He's in Idaho. I don't have access to his number or his wife's, but I'm trying. I don't have access to my wife's emails or phone records, but her change started about a year ago. She was very depressed. She was always on her phone texting, playing games. She's probably had some contact with him through our marriage, but I'm sure it got emotional when she was depressed around a year ago. I should have seen the signs and met her needs, but I just thought she'd get over it, and now it's costing our marriage. After I wrote the first post, we talked a little more. She can't believe I told everyone and will never forgive me for that. Like all the other stuff I've done, I told her I want to kill this affair and did it to try and save our marriage. She just walked out of the room and said goodbye and slept in the other room. I'm really sad, but I'm okay. I'm sure this is normal, but I just wonder if I blew any chance of reconciliation. It got worse the next day. Her mom called his mom because they are old friends. Exposed it to her. Not sure what they said, but they all know on his side, I think. Bottom line, I know her parents think she's making a big mistake. So, after all this, my wife called me at work and told me off. Said now her relationship with her parents is over and any love she had for me is gone. She was almost hysterical. Then said her boyfriend was calling and hung up. I felt like crap, but I'm okay now. Sounds like the standard reaction. I need things to cool down a bit. By the way, kids are alright, just sad. My daughters have no connection with their mom anymore. My son doesn't say much. They're all in their 22nd, so they know what's going on. I've been wondering if expose was the wrong thing to do, but when I look back at all the things that have changed since this started, it seemed like the last and only option. I have changed myself a lot since I realized I didn't meet her emotional needs. I've been trying like hell to be there for her, but was mostly given the cold shoulder. Another problem was me being a couch potato. I woke up to that and started eating better and going to the gym and lost over 60 pounds. And feel better than ever. Rarely sit on the couch anymore at all. I've always cleaned up around the house and even more so now without expecting any thanks in return. Nothing has changed her attitude. I tried talking to her or go out and have fun, but she would rather do other things without me. She's a totally different person. Everyone sees it. She's 46. Everyone says she's going through menopause. Her doctor says she's not. She says she's not. I believe I was out of options to expose this. Kept it to myself for 5 months. So, when she told me she was still talking to this guy, I let her know I was going to expose, and she said she didn't care who knew. I really didn't want, but felt I had nothing else to lose. I still love her, but if this has or will get to a P, I doubt if I'll ever forgive her. Although yesterday was a surprise, she called me in the morning and said she didn't want to fight anymore. She was like her old self and we talked about whatever for about 30 minutes. Her alcoholic brother who lives with his parents is really giving them problems. So, she says she can't handle all this stress anymore. Like she almost over the edge. I comforted her and talked a little more than hung up. That was a relief just to talk normally. But last night she came home from night class, asked if I just got home, then went and slept in the den. I'm real confused. Something happened this last Saturday night. We were at home with our son's girlfriend and I just felt like asking my wife out to dinner and she said okay. Also asked my son's girlfriend if she wanted to go too, so we all went out. We all got along really good, especially me and my wife. We sat next to each other and she started touching me like she hasn't in months. We talked and laughed like we were by ourselves. I think my son's girlfriend stopped paying attention to us and kept texting my son and whoever else. Me and my wife acted kind of like new lovers, even kissed a little, went home and got intimate, and all felt great. We told each other we loved each other. I even think she said she was sorry. I told her I loved her no matter what. As I woke up in the morning, I kept thinking she'll wake up and be cold like she's done in the past. I was wrong. She kept holding me and I felt loved again. We haven't had any serious talk yet, but we've been acting like lovers again. We did some shopping, son, and even held hands. Since I have a new position at work, I stay in our yard all day, always been in the field. She called in the morning on her way to work and said she would like to stop by after and see me. So, she did. We chatted a bit. I showed her my new work area and desk. I said I need a picture of her and the kids since now I have a desk. She laughed and said it has to be a recent one since we've both lost a lot of weight. It's a miracle. Don't want it to end. I pray it will never end. I know I've really got to meet all her needs. I'll never take her love for granted again. She even asked for her ring back. Still need all your great advice. This is far from over. Right now, it's kind of sticky cause she says she's still mad at me for exposing and I should have kept it between us since now my oldest daughter is really mad at her. She said they were good till I told my daughter of OM. I said our daughter was already distant and upset with her long before that. That's what my daughter told me. She hasn't been close to her mom since she began changing at the beginning of last summer. She says her mom acts totally different, only cares about herself, has no more feelings, dresses like she's 20 years old. My other daughter feels the same but just keeps it to herself and carries on with life. My wife has always felt like I set them against her and keep them on my side. I've never done that. They're all in their 20s and have their own opinions. Anyways, last night my wife asked if I had talked to my daughter. I said yes and that she went out with her cousin. So, I can tell that anytime I talk with my daughter, my wife will be sad cause she misses her and mad at me for telling her of OM. Neither of them will break the ice and call the other. They really need to talk. If they do, I'm really worried that my daughter will let it all out and tell her mom off. That will make everything worse, maybe. It's all so complicated. Like my wife won't be happy unless the kids are, and my kids won't be happy unless our marriage is back to a loving marriage. I know it's undoubtedly coming to telling her like it is. I know I have to be calm and say all those things and do it with love. That's so hard. She seems to be going back to being distant again. I hope it's just a cold she's getting, but I fear the worst. And I do know she misses her daughter. We're planning to go to Vegas this weekend and meet our son, his friends, my wife's sister and her family. Hope the trip will be a good time and give me and my wife some special time together. Well, Vegas started off pretty bad the night we got there. Me and my wife went to eat and almost right away she asked if I was going to my daughter's-in-law's for Super Bowl. I said I didn't know. I asked what you are going to do. She said, not go there. Then she said, why do you act like there's nothing wrong? Referring to the fact that my daughter isn't speaking to her. We talked a little more about that than just made small talk. Some singers came by and played some songs for us. It was fun. But later my son and his friend and a couple of my sons came and drank with us. My wife was getting pretty drunk and kept talking to my son's friend and touching him. I had enough and just walked out. Played a little slots, then went up to our room. She came in later and asked where I went. Told her I couldn't stand her touching my son's friend anymore. Then we got into an argument. She says she will never forgive me for telling everyone of the affair. Says she's talked to a divorce lawyer. I said what happened. She said they're real expensive. I told her she basically brought this on herself by her actions. She was crying really bad. I said the kids all hate what she's done, not just the oldest daughter. Well, that was that. Next day was really quiet. Went to see our nieces compete for cheerleading. Went back to the hotel and she took a nap. I came back later and took a nap, then got up, got ready and asked if she wanted to get something to eat. She said she would try because she didn't feel too good. Still hungover. Anyways, I went downstairs and had a couple of drinks, then she called and said she was coming down. We got to the middle of the casino and she looked at me and said, "Can I have a hug?" So we hugged and made up. It was a good night. We had dinner and danced. Next day was good. Shopped a little and held hands. Then we drove home. Then on Tuesday, my oldest daughter left my wife her birthday present with a note. She basically said that she loved her mom, but after being apart from her for about 3 weeks that she's really okay. Says it's a sad time right now and she doesn't know who her mom is anymore. So, this really upset my wife. When I got home, she was crying and blamed me for telling everyone. I again told her that this was her fault since my daughter has been detached from her since she started changing. I told her that she says she still loves her and she needs to talk to her. My wife says I'm the mother, she should call me or something like that. I then said that if I had done this to her, they would be treating me the same way and that she wouldn't be as nice to me as I am to her. She said, I would have left you a long time ago and why am I still here? I said because I love you. I told her I'm tired of this roller coaster, that I've changed and have been good to her through all this and that I'm tired of being a doormat. She didn't say anything. So, I just left it at that. Took a shower, did a couple of things then went to bed. Thought she would leave and sleep in the den like she's done many times before, but she stayed. I'm so confused and sad. Just keep praying this will all get better. She came home from school last night, quietly asked if I was awake. Then she said she was sorry. She said she felt like she was two different people and didn't know how to act anymore. Felt like she was going to go crazy. Everything I said just got her madder. I was loving and calm. I told her one thing that wrong with the way she has changed is she's always on her iPhone texting, playing games. She says everyone she knows does that. I said that fine, but when we're with people and family you sit in a corner and ignore everyone in the room. You never put down the iPhone, and you talk on that more than talk to me. It's taken my place. She said yeah, like all those years of you sitting on the couch and watching TV. I should have gotten a boyfriend a long time ago. That really hurt. I've always been there for her. I wasn't perfect and neither was she and we had a great marriage. I know my faults and I did take her for granted. Through it all I've always loved her and cared for her. I didn't realize how much till all this began happening. And I just didn't show it enough. It's probably too late now but I've shown my unconditional love to her through this. That was the old me. I'm very different now. I know what's important. Can't hardly stand to see TV anymore. I just want to be there for my wife and start a new relationship with her. Had a good weekend so far. She told me she was going to have dinner with her new friends from night school on Friday, and that I should stop by the restaurant after work and join them for dinner so I could meet them. I said we'll see. So, I surprised her and did. Met her friends, talked and laughed, had one beer, and gave her money to pay for most of their dinner and went home. Had a good time. When she got home, she came to bed, gave me a little hug, said thanks for paying for dinner, gave me a kiss, said you feel so skinny and went to sleep. Of course, I wanted to jump all over her but just said you're welcome. Did a lot of cleaning the house and laundry yesterday with her. We went out and had dinner and did grocery shopping after. One thing disturbed me was that I put on my wedding ring last night. I never wear it since I cannot with the work I do. Plus, it didn't fit. It was too small, but since I lost weight, it fits perfect now. She bought me this years ago to replace the tiny one that we got married with. Anyways, I showed her at dinner and she said, you could melt that down. I said, why would I want to do that? She said, to get money. I just left it at that. When we were cleaning our room, she was showing me some of her old jewelry she doesn't wear and said the same thing about melting them down. She also asked the other night if I wanted to go to her parents for Super Bowl. She said it enthusiastic. That surprised me. I said I don't know, but I said yes, I would yesterday. I just feel a little strange sometimes when we are with her family because we don't act like we used to when we are together. Feels awkward not to touch each other or say babe to each other like we always did. Just to be together is still great. Her parents told me they love me, I'm like a son to them and can come over anytime I want. After I told them of the affair, I love them too and would do anything for them. We should have a great time. Well, sorry to say Super Bowl wasn't super at all. Started out fun, but before we left our house, I could tell she was starting to get a little mean. Drove to her mom's and stopped at the market to get some drinks. She got some margaritas. We were having fun just drinking and munching out, but what I notice more and more is when she drinks, she gets meaner to me. I can deal with that. Used to be after a few drinks she was the nicest person in the world. Well, she would occasionally say mean things like marriage is overrated or just things that she knew would hurt me. And to top that off she was texting other man. Our nephew told her so and so is calling. She just ignored him. Of course, she tries to hide it but I think everyone knows what she's doing. She went to the bathroom a couple of times and spent way too much time in there. I just stopped talking to her. I don't know if she knows I know but it doesn't matter. I figured she was still communicating with him. It just pisses me off like you won't believe. She has no respect. When she gets home tonight we'll see what happens. Haven't talked to her all day. I'm so frustrated. I hate what she's doing. And yes, it affects everyone. I think she started to get mean when she thinks about both my daughters, watching the Super Bowl at my one daughter's in-laws and not being with her. I know this tears her up inside. And then she takes it out on me. It's been a real quiet week. Hardly any talking. Did get a thank you for making her coffee Thursday morning. And then that evening she told me that her tax man called her and told her what our refund would be. Then just talked a little more on how much she made this year and that was it. Called her yesterday for the first time in about 2 weeks at her work to get info on my company buying supplies from hers. She was pleasant to talk to. Last night when I got home, she left me a note saying she was going to her friend's housewarming party. She signed her name with a heart. What does that mean? Not trying to analyze everything, just curious. I can't shut off Cell since we started a new plan with our finances. Her check is to pay for the house and mine for everything else. She's been paying her cell and most of her gas herself. At least she seems to care about keeping the house and paying our bills. Here's a tough question. Should I send flowers to her work on Valentine's Day? One post here says if she's attracted to you, then flowers would be great. If she is not, then that will push her away. I feel she is not attracted and doesn't feel much for me at all. I would love to send her favorites, tulips. Don't want it to backfire on me. Here's some sad news. This morning we talked a little bit, then she gives me the look. I said what? She says nothing. A minute later she gives the look again and says I want a divorce. I didn't know what to say. She started thinking about our daughters again and how my oldest is separated from her. Says my son is the only one who talks to her and that I act like there's nothing wrong. I said, no, I know there's plenty wrong and I'm just trying to keep going. I told her that she acts like there's nothing wrong. She says she tries. I told her the girls still love her but they don't know she is anymore. She said something like, here we go again with the I don't know you anymore and I'm tired of hearing that, and walked out. Went to talk to her later and told her why you are nice to me one minute and the next you're mean. She says she just keeps trying to make things work out but can't. Says she always felt that if we divorced a long time ago, she always feared I would take the kids away from her. So, it's like I'm doing it now. She started crying. Also said I should have waited before I told everyone, and that things might have worked out. I said I gave you a chance when I waited over 5 months to end contact with other man and you still didn't stop, and that you didn't care who knew. I had no choice because nothing was happening and you still talked to other man. I said I wish you would have told me to wait longer cause if I had known there was a chance, I wouldn't have said anything. I said I've changed for the better. She said yay for yourself. I said yes, but that I'm not going to be that old person anymore and I want to basically please you. She said it's too late, again, and that I will be a better person for someone else. I said I wanted to be you. We didn't say much after that. I'm still trying to meet her emotional needs and will continue. Not sure what her love language is, but I know she likes gifts. Also, sure, quality time and words of affirmation are the top ones. It's just almost impossible to do with the way she is now. Like she keeps saying it's too late. I will not listen and will keep trying to meet her needs. I agree that she just won't admit her guilt. So stubborn. It's as plain as day, but she can't see it. Bottom line is if she did apologize to the kids, they would take her back. Not saying that fixes us, but it would be a giant step in the right direction. I will continue to make home an inviting place for her and keep changing for the good of both of us, but I will stand my ground on not taking the blame for her affair or why the kids don't talk to her. Like someone said before, let the blame fall on her shoulders. I'll always be there to take her back once she changes too. We had it out the other night. I had thought about my wife blaming me for both my daughters' distance from their mother. Kept thinking about it all day and got real upset, because the night before she brought it up again. I had told her that my oldest daughter had seen a doctor about a problem she's had since she had a miscarriage about a year ago. She asked me why I haven't told her anything. I said because she didn't want me to tell you. She said, do you think that's right? I said no. This got her real upset and she left the room and slept on the couch. Next night I went to bed and was watching TV and she came in and said now my daughter wasn't even taking her calls. My daughter told me that her mom called, the phone rang twice and no message. My wife told me she left a message. I told her what my daughter told me and she says, you always believe what they tell you. Then it was on. I had enough of being blamed. I got up and began to raise my voice and told her that's what she told me. Then I went on to tell her that I accept most of the blame for our marital problems, but she is 100% to blame for her affair. That's why the girls are acting the way they are. You've betrayed their dad and you think they're just going to accept that. She told me to stop yelling at her. I stopped, calmed down and said sorry. Went on to tell her that I've loved her with all my heart through all this and that she not only tore out my heart but stomped on it too. She said, if I were you, I would have left a long time ago. I said I wish it was that easy. I wish I didn't love you so much, but I do. I loved you from the first time I said it and still do. We have a life together, good and bad. You only see the bad, but there were also many good times. I can't just stop. Said a few other things, but those were the main issues. She just ended up saying she had a lot of homework to do and walked out. I know I blew it by raising my voice, not yelling, but I felt so much better telling her all that was on my mind. Mainly that she has the blame for the affair. I called her the next morning to ask her something about our checking account. Surprised me, she was actually nice. The next day her and my oldest daughter finally got together and talked. My daughter said it went okay. Said her mom cried a lot about not being with her through her doctor's visits. My daughter didn't want to talk about the OM. She said her mom asked what I told her about it, and she just said that I will be fine. She still can't believe what her mom is doing. When I got home that night, my wife told me she talked to our daughter. I said I know. We talked about it for a while. She was nice again. Yesterday we didn't talk. She seemed a bit distant. I know I should have called her or started a conversation, but I'm getting so tired of all this knowing she's still in contact with OM. I've told her many times before to leave, but she has nowhere to go. How can I kick her out? She had told me I know my rights, I don't have to leave. But she did tell me the other night that she's looking for a place. Realistically, we can't afford to live separately. I thought as long as she's here I can still work on the marriage, but it looks hopeless now. I've told her in my heart I've let you go. Aside from starting divorce proceedings, what else can I do or say or act to let her know that I'm done? It's hard cause I really miss her so much. Also, he lives in another state, so as far as I know they haven't been together. Had a bit of an episode today. I had to go to the emergency today because I accidentally stabbed myself in the elbow with a real sharp knife and blacked out for a bit. I had to call her cause I didn't know if I would make it home safely. She really panicked and raced over to where I was and took me to the emergency. I ended up with a couple of stitches and released. It was nice that she showed me she still cared. I feel that if we were at least separated she might come back. I'm starting to see what you mean about respect. She's defiantly lost that for me. My comment: I would do 2 things. Cut off all funding for any means to continue contacting OM, turn off internet, shut off the phone and make her set up a new one. Start your new life. Show her that you are moving on. 2. Make sure she knows that this is not what you want, there's still a way home. But that you will no longer be her patsy.